needed something catchy for my channel, something to really hook the kids, and I think I came up with just the thing. Check this out. Gadget Hunter! Okay, look, I probably should have put this review out last week. This is gonna be my hands-on first impressions of the iPad Magic Keyboard. Instead, I put out that video about that really cool charging brick that I thought was gonna be something that you all enjoyed. Turns out it was a huge stinky flop. Hardly anyone watched it but me. Here we have a much more exciting product in this box right here. I do have the Apple Magic Keyboard for the new iPad, but first check this out. So this is my iPad Pro, and on here I have the Apple Smart Folio, except this is not actually the Apple Smart Folio. This is a Smart Folio that I got on eBay. I paid $16 for this Smart Folio, and this thing has been a champ. As you can see, it actually attaches with magnets just like Apple's Smart Folio. It looks just as good as the day I bought it. The magnets are holding up really well, and if you put it down like this, it stays solid right here, right where it's supposed to. I actually can't believe this Smart Folio has lasted as long as it has and still looks exactly like it did when I got it. 16 bucks versus Apple's $99 for their version. You can get these things all over eBay. It's just some cheap Chinese knockoff. Let's get on to the main event. Okay, first let me just scribble out my address so none of you come to my house and try to hang out in my tree while I'm changing out of my pantaloons. That is one sleek and sexy product right there. We've got bends in all the right places, nice and simple and clean. On the back, you got everything you need to know, including how to make a sandwich out of your iPad if you choose to do that. Now I was gonna take my scissors to this, but we have a little tiny peel error right here. So let's just go ahead and just pull that baby right off. Have you ever noticed that with Apple packaging, this little pull thing actually works? And on everyone else's packaging, when you pull on it, like the arrow just comes off in your hand and then you have to take scissors or a knife and unbox it anyway. Oof, even that cardboard feels so silky smooth right on my fingertips. Baby. Inside we have the Magic Keyboard with a little tab right here that we can use to just lift this guy out. Whoa, whoa, that is way heavier than I was expecting it to be. I think that this actually might be heavier than the iPad itself. Okay, now I gotta know for sure. I got a little scale right here. Very carefully, we're gonna go ahead and put this on here. So the iPad by itself weighs 1 pound, 2 ounces just about. Yeah, okay. This is 1 pound, 9 ounces. Let's just knock off 5 ounces for the paper that's inside here. So this case is still heavier than the iPad itself. This adds a significant amount of weight. Actually doesn't smell that great. It smells like what the new carpet in your car might smell like if you just put your nose right against that. Not a pleasant experience. On the back here, we have your camera cut out right here. We have your Apple logo imprinted into it right there, so everyone knows that you spent $300+ just on a case. Ooh, oh, did you see that? Let me do that again. You open it up and there's some tension here, right? It doesn't want to open it and it just snaps right into place. Well, that's a very satisfying experience. Let me just go ahead and, You know what's so strange about this is it's so slim, but it snaps into place in such a satisfying way. And then when you crank this back, it is so silky smooth and it has so much tension all throughout the range of motion. It just feels like this should be a lot thicker and should be more robustly built than it is. I just found a new feature that is not in the documentation. If you want to speak to the dolphins in your local waterway, you just drag your fingers right across this. I'm gonna keep this for sure. Okay, it's so interesting. This thing looks like a full-on computer. The keyboard looks exactly how you would expect a MacBook keyboard to look. And it's just so rigid, you know? It's like you open it up, you expect a computer to be in there, and it's everything but the computer. Here's the trackpad right here. Let's give this a little touch. Oh, that is nice and smooth. This feels just like the touchpad on your MacBook Pro, nice and silky smooth. Let's see if it has a mechanical click. Ooh, that is a nice click right there. The click feels like it's evenly engaged no matter where you press, which is interesting. On previous touchpads, it would feel like it clicked better at the bottom and not so much at the top. Okay, now the moment of truth. Let's get my iPad snapped in here and just see exactly what happens. And just like that, it snapped right into place. Now, I don't really like the angle of this, which is probably why they built in, oh yeah, this little adjustment layer right here. Oh, I touched a key and it immediately woke up my iPad. Oh yeah, that hinge feels so nice. It's so weird too. I mean, again, it's just so smooth. As long as you hold this down, it won't like topple over your iPad, but there's a hinge right here as well. And you would think that like moving this back and forth would somehow activate this hinge as well, but it doesn't. It's just this one that's moving around. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now you can see what I'm working with here. This cursor feels so good. I wasn't sure if I was actually gonna like the way this feels, but it feels exactly like my Mac, except when you get towards something that it can click on, it will kind of snap to it. I wasn't sure if I was gonna like that, but it feels so satisfying when you're getting close to something and it just goes bloop and it just clicks right on top of it. Oh man, and the scrolling feels so good too. When you're scrolling up and down with 2 fingers, it's fluid and it feels dynamic. Okay, but here we go. Here's the big test. I'm gonna be using the keyboard for the first time. Now, how does this keyboard stack up with the scissor mechanism MacBook Pro? This has a scissor mechanism keyboard as well. It's a little compact, to be honest. My hands are kind of big. I feel like it's pretty compact in there, but let's take this thing for a spin and see how it feels. Ooh, yeah, that feels so buttery smooth. Oh, ooh, I gotta engage my Stevie Wonder action when I'm doing this. Oh, yes. Oh, here we go. Oh, yes. The clicks just feel so satisfying. They each have a really good amount of play when you press down on them. I will say though, the keyboard does feel a little bit small. I'm not totally thrilled about the size of the keyboard. I realize it has to match the size of the iPad. This is an 11-inch iPad, so there is that. And then of course you have the command button and the touchpad, so if you want, you can highlight all of your text with a Command A and then delete it all or just start typing over it. Or you can use your touchpad to go through and start double tapping on your actual words, and then you can change them if you want or delete them if you want. So of course, adding the keyboard makes typing so much easier, but then you add the touchpad on top of that so that you can actually navigate around with a touchpad instead of using your finger. And this feels the way a Mac would feel. You know what, let's just try this. Let's just close this thing up. This definitely adds some heft to your iPad. It definitely makes it a lot beefier. And I gotta say, it's also a lot heavier. Using it with this super lightweight Folio, you don't really feel like there's anything on your iPad. And using this, I feel like I'm about to deliver someone's drinks at like a restaurant or something that's like, sir, oh, sir, oh, there you go, enjoy. This adds a lot of heft. I'm not sure I would want to use this as my daily driver, and I'm not sure I would want to use this in bed. Like if you're just gonna be using your iPad to like read in bed or something, I mean, I guess you could have it like sitting on your chest like this, and it actually might even sit up by itself, but it does add a lot of heft and a lot of size, and I feel like I might only want to use this if there was a reason for me to want to be productive on my iPad. Maybe I'm traveling with it, maybe I want to use it as like an actual Mac replacement or something, but oftentimes I don't want to do that with my iPad. I just want it to be a media consumption machine, which makes me think that for the most part, I'm probably gonna stick with my smart Folio. And then every once in a while, if I wanna do some typing on my iPad, send some emails or something, then I might actually bust this out. But then that makes me think, how often am I actually gonna use this really? Now, I realize that's totally subjective. Some people are going to buy this and keep it on their iPad all the time and be productive on their iPads. That may not be me, so mine may end up sitting in a drawer sometimes when I'm not using it. But there's no doubt that adding the Magic Keyboard to your iPad, it makes you feel like you have an actual computer on your hands and not just an iPad. It completely changes the way the iPad feels, and it completely changes the way you interact with the iPad. It makes it feel much more like a computer, which is what everyone's been saying. There's no doubt that this thing feels like it's unbelievably well made and it works extremely well. It does exactly what it promises to do. And with the new interactions in iOS, with the cursor and everything, this completely transforms your iPad into a whole new machine. But I still feel like iOS is not quite suited to productivity. If you're really trying to be productive, you're gonna wanna do Mac OS, you're gonna wanna have a Mac. This, in a way, is kind of like a Hackintosh. They've made iOS, Mac OS more like a computer. They have added the keyboard, they've added the touchpad, and all of these things make this behave like a computer. But once you start really working on it, you still can't access a desktop. The multitasking is still really not that great. You might disagree, and if you do, I'm sure you'll let me know down in the comments below. I can't get this thing closed with one hand. My name is Erfon Elijah, Gadget Hunter. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to hear more thoughts on this here little magic keyboard, I'm going to be talking all about it in my Top Tech Apple podcast. It's one of the most popular on iTunes. Look, I don't want to brag, but it's one of the most popular podcasts on iTunes. If you're not listening to it, you should probably check it out. I'll put a link in the description down below. That's gonna be it for me for now. If you like this content, make sure you go ahead and tweak that like button, hit that subscribe button, come back for more videos. I'm coming back real soon, and I'll see you guys next time.